Thank you. Speakers, thank you for coming and just expressing everything that you did tonight. It was very representative of what we've already, at least what I've already received.
There are no additional speakers.
Thank you. We'll go to questions from council. Ms. Burkholder.
Thank you. Speakers, thank you for coming and just expressing everything that you did tonight. It was very representative of what we've already, at least what I've already received from folks regarding this issue. I do have a few questions. I know it's late, but we'll try to get through these reasonably quickly. Some of them are based on what your comments were, so bear with me. I think I heard you say, Mr. Frank, that the signal option was already in place for us to improve at this intersection before the traffic emergency?
Yes, that's accurate.
And so then how did the roundabout come into play?
As a part of our standards, we actually have, in our standards, we require intersection control evaluations, and in that we look at what the different options are for intersections that warrant a traffic signal. In this case, obviously, we have a traffic signal, so when we looked at what options were available to meet the objectives of our project, which were, again, to improve active transportation uses along the coastline and in that intersection, as well as slowing down speeds, which are all included in our mobility element, the roundabout was then an obvious option. So what we ended up doing was studying originally 3 options, which was then pared down to 2 options, which were in your staff report. So that's how it came to be why we studied the roundabout option. One of the main issues that we really didn't touch upon in our staff report to you, but it was very focused on it in the Traffic and Mobility Commission, but is one of the main reasons why we also initiated this project is the actual access along the west side, the very popular west side of the intersection along the coastline. There is no accessible ramps to get through that intersection.
Right. Yeah, I'm very familiar, this being in my district. And I'm just curious, it sounded like when we were talking about speeds and collisions and the survivability, because vehicles have to slow to, I don't think I heard you say this, but I'm understanding that because vehicles have to slow to 15, 20 miles an hour going through a roundabout, your increase of survivability is higher.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. And the way that was presented, I just want to make sure we got that out there. I'm curious about foot traffic at the northbound roundabout north of Army Navy versus what we observed, what your data collected, foot traffic at Tamarack and Carlsbad, which is the 101. Let's be honest, it's a highway. So versus the foot traffic at Bird Rock. So if you don't mind, if you could pull up that video of Bird Rock in La Jolla. You don't have to play the video. I just wanted to make an observation about that. I have a question. Right. Okay. Just there. So.
Oh, you don't play it. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. So the foot traffic at that location because there's streets, there's shops, and there's banks, and there's restaurants on both sides. Do we have data that says how many pedestrians are using the roundabouts there? Because I know they're a series.
No, we do not have that specific data for the Bird Rock roundabouts, but as you mentioned, it is a very popular pedestrian corridor.
Yeah, it's very different than what we're looking at on the 101, because one side is mainly homes, and the other side is ocean, playa, people play on the beach, there's people everywhere. So in my mind, that is not representative of what we're proposing at Tamarack and Carlsbad 101. For the simple reason, we will have more people than both sides of that street, because they're shops where people go in and out. It's not like a place where you go and pack your lunch and you stay on the beach all day long with your family, right? So I just see those very different. But we do have data for foot traffic at the north roundabout and foot traffic at the current situation. So will you please share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have our consultants with us today, Wood Rogers. So I will ask them to come up and speak to the specific traffic data. And so Melissa Gomez, for you.
While she's coming up, I'll go ahead and ask another one.
Okay.
This roundabout is not concurrent with the other roundabouts that are planned for south of Carlsbad, right? South of Tamarack. It is not a concurrent project, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And while we're just waiting, Ms. Wright made a point about smart traffic signals. Is it possible that we control the traffic signal at Tamarack and 101 remotely?
We do have communications to the traffic signal, but again, the smart communications at a traffic signal doesn't address many of the objectives of our project, which we highlighted in our presentation. So we actually do have communications to that, and so we'd have to look at what the benefits are for different timing plans and if we wanted to coordinate in any way with the adjacent traffic signals. So to the north, we have one at Pine Avenue, which is quite a difference. So it's
okay.
We do have that communication.
And then what is the cost analysis with the light fixtures versus the roundabout? What are they? How much do they cost?
Right. So we actually did complete a cost analysis as part of our intersection control evaluation. And so the initial construction costs are relatively close to the same. The roundabout is actually $500,000 less expensive. But other factors that we look at as a part of our cost analysis include the cost of improved or mobility, emissions, operations and maintenance, safety, and of course, as we mentioned, the construction cost. So when you look at all of those other costs involved, especially when you're looking at the change and delay between the options, the roundabout really comes out to be less costly, and the benefit to cost ratio is much higher with the roundabout option.
Okay, great. Thank you. And do you know offhand how many accidents have occurred in that intersection? Someone else, Mr. James, I believe, had asked that question.
At the
Tamarack and 101.
We do have that information, yes. Again, I think our consultant it was the number of accidents or collisions, and was that all inclusive, or were you looking for? Okay, yeah.
I'm just looking for a raw number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this is Mario, our traffic engineer.
Hi, Mario.
I'm Melissa, I'm a roadway designer. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Mario Tambolini with Wood Rogers. So there's a question about number of pedestrians crossing Tamarack Avenue under existing conditions, the Carlsbad Boulevard and Tamarack Avenue intersection specifically. So based on our latest counts, which were from a Saturday in June of 2022, so last year, there were, during the peak afternoon hour on a Saturday in June, 200 pedestrians approximately on the north leg, 70 pedestrians on the east leg, only one on the south leg where there's no crosswalk today, and approximately 30 on the west leg, which is the beach parking lot side.
Okay. And then what about, did we study pedestrians in the north roundabout, north of Army Navy Academy?
So that wasn't part of the study we did.
Okay.
Our data only applies to the Tamarack area.
Okay. Is there anything the city has relative to that you can provide?
I can say that we did look at the vehicular traffic counts at State Street, but we don't have that pedestrian count information for you today, but I can follow up with that information.
Okay. And then I think that's all I had. I don't want to keep you guys.
Crash numbers?
Oh, yes, that. Thank you. Accidents.
Okay, so we have from 2022 crash data summary, We have it by severity and type. We have a table here. So trying to explain to you the table at our intersection, Carlsbad and Tamarack, there were 11 total crashes. 4 of those were other visible injury, 5 had complaint of pain, and 2 were property damage only. Sorry, is that too much information?
That's okay. No, I feel like I remember seeing that now.
Okay.
I have been extensively briefed on this.
Good. Okay, great.
It's like I dream about this, and sometimes it's a nightmare. So no, I just wanted to sort of get that idea because we saw the data about the north side, what was presented by our community members about the north side roundabout. So just trying to make sure we're understanding what we're hearing, and I appreciate that. I think it would be helpful to hear. We all read the concerns from the community, but I wanted to appreciate you guys for listening to all of that, and I would like to hear maybe what the number one concern was.
The number one concern of the community, well, I can tell you, our fabulous communications team did extensive public outreach for this project as well as our projects to the south. And I would say the number one comment we got on this project as well as the projects to the south are to make it slower and safer for all of the users and to increase opportunities for the active transportation users, which include bicyclists and pedestrians.
Okay.
So that was the most frequent comment we get.
I mean, I hear it all the time. Slow down on Tamarack, slow down. I'd just like to ask now if we could have Chief Calderwood maybe. Oh, hi, there you are. I know, it's like magic. This is our fire chief, Chief Calderwood. I heard what staff said about the safety of operating your vehicles and making sure you can respond to emergencies, but I need to hear it from the chief. So help me help them, everybody understand what we're hearing.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Council, City Manager Mike Calderwood, Fire Chief Carlsbad. So the roundabout itself, I don't believe poses any significant decline in emergency response. We work very closely with Tom Frank and his department to make sure that the impacts of the different characteristics that the roundabout has compared to the intersection, that we're able to maneuver around that roundabout safely, which they have made sure we're able to do. And it even has what's called a truck apron, so we can mount or drive over the top of it. I did want to address, as part of your question, in a way that addresses a question by one of the speakers tonight, about us being able to, once we get through the roundabout with traffic being shrunk down to 1 lane versus 2 lanes, Mr. Frank and I have spoken at length about that, and while it is 1 lane as you enter and exit that roundabout, it's not just the lane itself that creates the space on the asphalt. There is paint on the ground that is wider than the lane itself. So that lane, you have the lane, and then you have the bike lane buffer, which is just white paint that you can drive over, and the bike lane itself. So there is ample area for the drivers to yield to the right as emergency vehicles try to pass through.
And isn't it great that we have fire station number 1 on the beach? No,
Fire station
number 7. Sorry.
Fire
One's
station
right
1
here.
is close by as well.
Yeah, lucky number 7.
We get to hear them every Tuesday night.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And those are all my questions. I'll have comments at the end. Like what they are thinking with this, because I do have the feeling that it's a 50-50 thing. And it's been prevalent in the community that it's a 50-50 thing. And I want to echo those comments. I was kind of a yes, but person too. I wish that the option number 3 was that because these projects aren't going concurrently, we could determine and evaluate the 3 other roundabouts south of this project to see if they're a disaster, then we don't do this project. And if they're not a disaster, then we move forward with this project. Because that's not an option, I'm a no.